Hello everyone, good afternoon. It is Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's your number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. No, you're not seeing things. This is a Saturday and we are doing a Game Bet Match. It's those crazy times again over in Beijing on the ATP Tour 1000. Before I introduce you Sean Calvert, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Our subscribers have gone down a little bit, not sort of going up as high as we would have hoped. But you are watching this, and I still see them figures. About 60% of you do not subscribe. So please hit the subscribe button. The more subscribers we get, the more views we can get, the more shows we can do for you. So it's very important to hit the subscribe button. Good afternoon, Sean. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, I think.
Bit stressed.
Yeah, I've had
stressful morning.
Bit of a morning with trying to get Lagan up to an exam for 8:15 this morning for a test that didn't start till 9:45. And then he comes out afterwards and says, "Oh, I didn't write the answers on the right sheet." So, yeah, then I've had to bring him back, take him to football, come back here. I've got the dog in here as well. So if there's any barking that happens, obviously that's going to be young Doris in there. But yeah, and then I had a weird night on the tennis. We had Nishioka, didn't we? I had him to win the first set, lost the first set, won the next two. So it's been one of them. It's been one of them mornings, unfortunately for me so far.
Yeah, and I'm still nursing a bit of a cold. Sorry if I sound sniffly or a bit nasally. I've got this terrible cold. I can't get rid of it for 5 days now. But anyway, I've had loads of them. And I'm trying to just soldier on headaches, sore throat. Anyway, enough about us moaning. The most important thing is the tennis here. As you said, Sean said, it was a bit of a frustrating night last night. We had a brilliant first day. And we give it back a little bit, but we're still about 3 units up in profit on the year, 3.21 to be precise.
At least the outright score.
And it was a bit frustrating. Yeah, and he looked good. Venus also had to see good. Really good, really good. What do you make of the conditions? That's the most important thing. Before we're going to come on to the matches for tomorrow, but I think it looks fairly slow.
Yeah, I said yesterday. I think it's nowhere near as quick as it was. You know, a few of the commentators are saying it was slow, but until now, the players haven't really said anything. But and yesterday, Taylor Fritz, I can give you his entire quote if you like. It's probably the easiest thing. Taylor Fritz said, "It's incredibly slow here, and if I'm being honest, the condition change this year is incredibly bad. Last year, the courts were obviously fast on the speed index. That's the CPI, the court speed index, but the balls were slow. So I felt the conditions were actually on the slow side. But now they slowed the courts down, and the balls perhaps aren't as slow." But they fluff up very quickly, so it's difficult to do anything with them. That's not to mention the humidity. It feels like the ball is going nowhere. So that's the first player that's actually said anything. A few people have. I said it looked a bit slower and bouncier than before. I still think that's the case. It makes our life extremely difficult because nobody tells us. No one says what they're doing. The tournaments are very secretive about this information. You know, they don't think it's relevant to people that come and watch. Most people that come watch this tournament aren't going to say, "Well, I'm not coming now," because you've slowed it down. They just don't give that information out. But yeah, it doesn't look. I wouldn't say it was incredibly slow. I mean, Fritz played at night. Obviously, that's probably worth mentioning as well. Certainly slower. It's another one of these tournaments that used to be pretty fast, and it's just incrementally slowed. Whether that's just the court surface changing and the balls changing, they're constantly tweaking these tournaments. So for me, I haven't got any stats in yet; they haven't arrived, but I would suggest certainly slower than previous years.
Yeah, just judging by the eye test, it looks quite slow today. And look at the results as well. I think the sort of players that you would expect it to be a little bit slow have done well. So I think it's on the slow side. But we're interested to see what happens. The other thing is as you say, it's very, very humid. It's very, very hot. And the weather tomorrow is going to be really, really hot.
Yeah, it's. I think. Where are we now? Saturday. So we're talking about Sunday's play. It's going to be a real feel of about 40 tomorrow, which definitely comes into my thinking with the bets. The day after, we obviously won't be doing a show, but just for people that want to bet on Monday's matches, it's supposed to be even hotter. Real feel of sort of like 42, 43, which is, you know, I've been in 42-degree heat before at a tennis tournament, and even as a spectator, it's painful. So, yeah, something to bear in mind over the next 2 days. It's going to be super, super hot and humid. Very, very tough conditions.
The action starts just past midnight on Saturday, early hours of Sunday morning. So 12:30 a.m. Eastern time, the action starts. And the first match on court is the first match we're going to discuss, actually. It's the game between Humbert and Holger Rune. If you're looking at the head-to-head here, if you go by head-to-head, you'll be betting Holger Rune because he leads 5-0 in the head-to-head record between the two of these. He is a favourite, and he's quite a strong favourite, minus 195. Humbert is plus 150, spread 2.5, total 22.5. 40-odd different markets available on the Bet Rivers website. If you look at the form of these two, Thompson came through straight set win. Humbert came with straight sets win over Thompson in round 2 after a bit of a bad run of form with only 1 win from his previous 6 matches. And Holger Rune come through against Sebastian Bayers after he reached the quarterfinals in Tokyo, where he got beat by Jensen Brooksby. Head-to-head betters, we bet in the minus 195. I don't see Sean Calvert be taking minus 195 about Holger Rune here.
No. I've got 4-0, actually. Was there another?
There's one of those series.
UTS or something?
Yeah, UTS series.
Right, okay, yeah. I mean, without even thinking about who Rune's playing, you couldn't bet him at minus 195 on his fitness record. You know, he's the first person that springs to mind. If you're talking about a hot and humid day, you're thinking Holger Rune's he's going to start cramping at some point. You know, he does it time and time again. Hasn't got any better throughout his career. I know he's still a young man. He's only 22. He's got plenty of time. But anytime it's hot and humid, really hot and humid like it'll be tomorrow, I immediately think fade Holger Rune. The head-to-head obviously makes him favourite. But he only just, and I watched this match, I watched it in the British Airways lounge. I can't remember where I was exactly. I must have been on the way back from Indian Wells because it was in Indian Wells. And we'd bet Rune because Rune was underdog, priced up as underdog anyway, 2.17 plus 117 for that Indian Wells match, of which we bet Rune, and he got it done. But I remember it being extremely stressful. I think it was 7-5 in the third in the end. And that was obviously slow, bouncy conditions, slower than Shanghai, bouncier slightly than Shanghai. And Humbert should prefer the conditions here. The fact that it's first match on, you know, the quickest conditions of the day, that would certainly favour Hugo Humbert. I mean, as I said, he was priced at minus 139, favourite for the Indian Wells clash, and that was only, 6 months ago? And Rune's now minus $2 or thereabouts. It must be being priced on their head-to-head. I mean, Rune's got a pretty decent record against lefties, but he's lost 3 of his last 4 against left-handers, Holger Rune, and the only win came over what's left of Albert Ramos on the clay in Barcelona this spring, which isn't much. Ramos is, you know, not far from retirement now. And if we look at the last 12 months statistics away from clay, obviously Humbert, not a clay man. Rune historically has always been pretty good on the clay. Last 12 months away from clay, main level, Humbert, service points won and return points won, total of 103. Rune's on 102. So it's not based on that statistic. And there should be motivation here for Humbert. He needs some ranking points. He's 26th right now because he's just lost a lot of points from not backing up his Tokyo final that he made last year. He's also got Paris Masters final points to defend as well in the next couple of weeks, or 3 weeks or whatever. So if he loses early in Paris and loses this match to Rune, there could be a scenario where he's not seeded for the Australian Open, because he's certainly going to drop points depending on what other people do, obviously. So there's a motivation there for Humbert, and he does have a better record here in Shanghai than Holger Rune does. 71% win rate, Humbert. Service points won and return points won, total of 104. It's very good. Rune, 60% win rate and a total of just 98. So statistically, there's a lot to like about Humbert's chances. All right, the matchup is potentially hasn't been in the past the best for him, but as I said, the Indian Wells match was extremely close in conditions that favoured Rune, in a tournament where Rune went on to make the final, incidentally, as well, so he was playing well. Then you're throwing in the humidity, the heat. I think we're just going to have to take Humbert on the money line here. But incidentally, I'm not sold 100% on Humbert in these conditions either, but I think he's a rung up from Holger Rune, who's somewhere down the bottom when you're talking about players that are capable in these sort of extreme heat and humidity conditions. So, yeah, I think I'm going to take a chance on Humbert here, plus 150.
Yeah, plus 150 does seem a big price about somebody who was the favourite last time they met, regardless of the head-to-head. Obviously, the conditions, what they're playing in currently, are more important than what they played in years and years ago, and I think that's been factored into the price here. We have a similar price for our next match. It's also the same time. It's 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It's just gone midnight on Sunday morning. the match is Gabriel Diallo, the Canadian. He's up against David Goffin, the veteran. Minus 190 for Diallo, plus 150 for Goffin. 2.5 the spread, 22.5 the total. Again, that just seems to be a copy and paste job on every single match we've done, although it's 2.5 and 22.5. If you look at the head-to-head, only one match before, and that was in the Australian Open in 2024 in qualification, where Goffin won in 3 sets. But Diallo is much vastly improved since then. But a player that probably won't like the conditions. Looked well against Bonzi, a good win against Bonzi, and Goffin obviously come through against Muller in round 1, and then he beat Ben Shelton very convincingly. I suppose that was more to do with Shelton not being fit, I'm guessing. I didn't watch the match, but I'm sure you'll give us some more insight on that. But Goffin did get the job too, done 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, this is Goffin, isn't it? Everything's got to be right for David Goffin to perform. If it's not, he doesn't. And that's the way it's been for him in recent times. It looks like everything's right for him now. Loads of injury problems this season, a little bit like Alejandro Tabilo, who I talked about, who's had so many injuries, and now he's playing his best tennis because he's finally fit. And the same is this is the case with Goffin as well. He's fairly fresh because he's not played that many matches because of the various injuries. And again, I've got a quote from him after the win over Ben Shelton. He played really well against Ben Shelton. All right, Shelton's a little bit rusty and perhaps a little bit worried about his shoulder. I understand that, but it's still an excellent performance from Goffin. He said after that, this type of court is good for me. I was struggling all summer while coming back from my foot injury. So to get back on court with confidence and be able to slide on the hard courts and the clay made me struggle a bit, also with my confidence. But I think everything comes together in these tournaments, and I'm really happy because I worked a lot on my fitness and what I had to do mentally as well. I want to do well in the last tournaments of the season. And so he's in a much better place than he's been for the rest of the year, and he's a very streaky player. This is a guy that's beaten Alcaraz, I think a couple of times. Recently, when he's fit and when that extremely fragile confidence of his is high, he's still a class act. And obviously he's beaten Diallo in that only career meeting that they had, and he won it well. He didn't just edge it. I know it was slightly before Diallo kind of broke out, if you like, but 111 to 89 in terms of service points won and return points won totals that day. Goffin winning, this is perhaps the most interesting, Goffin winning 45% of return points in pretty decent conditions, pretty lively conditions against a server like Diallo. That's a huge amount. And Diallo's best work, it hasn't really come on outdoor hard. If we look at the last 12 months on outdoor hard at main level, Goffin's stats are marginally better. 46% win rate for Goffin, service points won and return points won total of 98.1. Diallo 43% win rate and 97.8. So Goffin's slightly ahead on those statistics, and those stats are from a player that's been injured for a lot of the year. So Diallo wouldn't say he's had really too much time out with injury. So Diallo's been playing his best, but on the hard courts, his form isn't really there. Grass, yeah. Played well on the clay as well in Madrid when it was obviously altitude, so it's quick conditions. And Goffin's got that great record that I talked about the other day in Shanghai. 71% win rate here. And a service points won and return points won total of 103. I'm bearing in mind he's had such a long career. To have a win rate that high and a total like that it suggests that for whatever reason, he just loves playing here. And his record against big servers is pretty good as well. If the big servers on my database, Goffin against those players on outdoor hard at main level, he's got a 50% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 101.4. He's also won 6 of his last 7 matches against those big servers in my database. Twice against Shelton now, Mpetshi Perricard, twice against Halis, and obviously Diallo as well. The only one he lost was to Mpetshi Perricard in indoor hard at home in Belgium. Now, anybody that knows David Goffin over the years will know how much he struggles playing at home. He's terrible at home. Quite often doesn't play his home tournaments these days. He just can't perform there. Although weirdly, he has done pretty well in Davis Cup at times. So there's a lot to like about plus 150 again here with Goffin. Again, you're thinking about the conditions. Goffin wouldn't be particularly high on my list of players that I would be keen on in super hot and humid conditions. But I've seen Diallo struggle as well, certainly at the US Open very, very recently he struggled there physically, Diallo. So potentially he's not that high up the list either. So plus 150, Goffin. Again, I'm going to take a chance on him. I feel a bit worried about this. I'm on a day here when I'm backing Humbert and Goffin. It does worry me, but I think the value is there. You kind of have to take a chance and maybe hide behind the sofa.
Are they both official plays, Sean?
I think those are the two underdogs that really do stand out as having a decent chance at a good price.
You got to remember as well. I mean, I don't think the slower conditions will suit Diallo. He wants it as quick as possible.
That's true.
Very quick. So the court speed may suit Goffin as well. So Goffin is our second pick at plus 150. And then we move on to another match where I don't think the court speed is going to suit either of them. Both of them want it a lot quicker. Here, Taylor Fritz, we've obviously heard about his comments. He's up against Mpetshi Perricard, the fastest server in the men's game. Taylor Fritz is a heavy favourite. He's minus 480. And Mpetshi Perricard is plus 340. The spread is 2.5, and total is a massive 24.5 in this match. And I don't think many people will be going on the under. They have met once before, which was an epic. It was a 3-2 win for Taylor Fritz at Wimbledon this year. Three of the sets went to a tiebreak, and obviously Fritz come back from losing the first 2 sets to win in 3 close sets. Obvious one here, total games. Obvious is probably first set 1 overs.
Yeah,
money line, but we're not going to get much of a price in them, are we? I mean, that looks the obvious play, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean these matches today are they're not actually the greatest, but that they are what we have for tomorrow's play. And there are certainly angles here. Like you said, the obvious angle here is overs. I know the price isn't great. I think a lot of people will probably still bet it because it's so likely. You've got to wonder what Fritz has got left in the tank at the minute. I mean, he looked like he might lose to Marijan yesterday. Had to dig really, really deep. Ended up winning it in a final set tiebreak. What has he got left for round 3? This is a day match as well, I think. So this will suit both guys. Although the high heat and humidity for Fritz, after all the work he's done, that would certainly worry me at minus 480. What Taylor Fritz said after he beat Marijan yesterday, he said, "It's brutal to be on the side of the draw that plays Friday instead of Saturday." I don't know what he wants the organisers to do about that. I injured myself in the Tokyo final, and I'm still feeling it a bit on my leg, but I'm feeling way better than I expected. It is incredibly tough conditions here, and it's getting hotter. It's going to be tougher when he plays Mpetshi Perricard than it was when he played Marijan in terms of the heat and humidity. And anybody that watched or will recall that Wimbledon match that these guys played, Mpetshi Perricard was massively odds on to win. He should have won it. He was 2-1 up. He was 5-1 up in the 4th set tiebreak. Managed to lose that tiebreak and went on to lose the match. He should have won that all day long. I mean, Fritz, by the end of the match, he was pretty clear winner, 109-91 in terms of service points won and return points won totals, but that wouldn't have been the case had, obviously, Mpetshi Perricard won that 4th set. He probably still would have been behind on the totals, incidentally, Mpetshi, but you perhaps didn't deserve it, but he should have. The reality is he should have seen that out from where he was with the serve that he's got on grass, 5-1 up in a tiebreak. And I know it was played on grass, but it's not insanely quick grass at Wimbledon these days. It's actually pretty slow. So, some of the hard courts have got quicker stats than Wimbledon these days. But if we look at the numbers on that match, Fritz over 5 sets, 100% holds of serve. 85% first serve points won, and not a single break point faced in 5 sets, which tells more of a tale about Mpetchi's terrible return game than anything else. But Mpetshi Perricard himself, 93% holds of serve and 82% first serve points won. Mpetshi Perricard only won 19% of return points that day, which is, even for him, it's really low. Fritz, not good either, 28%. So on those stats and just on the way that Mpetshi plays, the way that he is outside of his first serve, his ground game, let's be honest, it's not that great. It can catch fire. And he is dangerous in sort of lively conditions over the best of 3. But you feel like the only way Mpetshi Perricard will win a set is if either Fritz is injured or fatigued and struggles in the conditions, or Mpetshi Perricard wins it in a tiebreak. That might be the option there. I haven't seen prices on correct score. I'm not sure if they're up yet with Bet Rivers, but you would be looking towards 7-6 and Mpetshi. That's potentially one angle. The obvious play is the set one over 12.5 games. You're only going to get plus 125 at Bet Rivers, but 100% holds and 93% holds in the last match. Yes, it was on grass, but this is still, if you've got a big serve, you can still go well here. So yeah, it's just a lean because the price isn't that great. But yeah, I mean, either 7-6 and Mpetshi or just a straight tiebreak in set one is the way to go here.
Yeah, set one tiebreak is plus 115, and set 1-7-6 to Mpetshi Perricard is plus 420.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that just because I think that's the only way he's going to win a set, and Mpetshi, unless Fritz hits the wall with physically after everything he's been through lately and the tough conditions.
It's minus 185 just to be a tiebreak in the match. So that plus 115 to get a tiebreak in set number one probably is a good way to go as well. So very, very, very serve-dominated match. Everyone expects to be loads of games and the totals, and that is no surprise. Now, that match is second match on court, so that match will start around about 2 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time Sunday morning. If you like what you hear on our shows, you like this kind of stuff, remember to sign up to our subscribe to our Insider, the Betting Weekly Insider and the Betting Weekly Newsletter. You can subscribe for free at bettingweeklystudios.com, and there's going to be a new look newsletter in the next couple of weeks after the international breaks. It'll be revamped. There's going to be lots of offers and lots of incentives for people to subscribe. It's free. Make sure you subscribe to it at bettingweeklystudios.com. Okay, our final match is also the second match on court, just before 2 a.m. Eastern Time. It's a battle between Francisco Cerundolo and Zizou Bergs. Francisco Cerundolo is minus 180 to win this match. Bergs has been in some decent form. He's plus 143. Spread here is again 2.5 and total 22.5. Another 20.5 and 22.5 total. Bergs beat Casper Ruud. Casper Ruud had to retire with injury. 4-1 up he was. I bet him in play. It got void. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, gutted about that. He beat Sebastian Korda in the round before as well. That was bad for us. But Cerundolo's been in pretty bad for himself. But did have a decent win against an informed Manarino in the last match. I looked at this price and I quite like Zizou Bergs here at plus 143.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to bet Cerundolo as a minus 180 favourite given how inconsistent he's been lately. He's actually lost 8 of the last 14 matches in which he's been priced up as favourite for. So that immediately would make you think he's an extremely unreliable minus money favourite. And in those 14 matches as favourite, he's only won 3 of them in straight sets, which is a very poor return for I mean, this is all favourite. He could have been anywhere between slight favourite and heavy favourite, but favourite either way. And given how well Bergs has played so far this Shanghai, and generally so far on this relatively short Asian swing, and Davis
really well against Carlos Alcaraz. I watched the game. He really pushed him close. He looked really good.
Yeah, he did. He's been playing well. I mean, Korda had a bit of a shocker in the first round, and it was a night match. It was one of the last matches on. I think he played awful, Korda, but kind of annoying because if he'd have beaten Bergs as he should have done, generally speaking, would have got an injured Ruud in the next round, and would have been all right there, but wasn't to be. But yeah, you're right. Bergs has played very well. I'll come on to the stats in a second. I mean, he looks like a player that's just kind of all of a sudden it's kind of clicked for him again because he was down in the dumps pretty bad just after the sort of grass court swing. Another one I'm talking about, just the burnout. I'm just sick of tennis. Don't want to see a tennis court. All that sort of stuff. Now he looks totally different, and maybe helping Belgium to the Davis Cup finals has kind of boosted him because he certainly looks different. His demeanour is very, very different now than it was a couple of months ago. And if we look at the stats of what he's done in this short time in Asia so far, service points won over 10 points, won a total of 103. A first serve percentage of 58.4 and just 0.25 double faults per game. And those are in matches against Alcaraz, Ruud, Korda, Tabilo and Shang. Now, if we look at what he did between the French Open and the US Open, service points won over 10 points, won a total of 97. Just 53% of first serves in play on average and 0.62 double faults per game. So he's completely flipped the numbers on their head, and a lot of it is because he's not serving so badly as he was sort of even when he made the final for us on the grass in Rosmar, and he was still serving really, really bad. And now he looks like he's running around fresh as a spring chicken, happy again. And Cerundolo since Rome, which is quite a long time, he's only got a win rate of 44%, and his service points won and return points won total during that time is just 98. So we've got a wildly inconsistent Cerundolo. You might say if it's kind of slow and a bit bouncy, that would perhaps favour him in terms of the conditions, but he's so inconsistent. I took a chance on him in Beijing last week and lost to Leonard Tien. Just hasn't got the consistency that you would want from a minus 180 favourite. So it's just a lean for me, but I think Bergs is the way to go here if you're betting this plus 143. Bergs is another one I'm not totally sold on like super hot and humid conditions. That could be a problem. It's one of the things that puts me off him, but yeah, I couldn't back Cerundolo at minus 180 there. I'd probably take a punt on Bergs.
Yeah, Bergs plus one. I like Bergs today. I might bet him in play, but hopefully Cerundolo doesn't pull out like yesterday. Rune was an absolute disaster. But anyway, there are our bets. There are 4 matches for tomorrow. The action starts at just gone midnight Sunday morning. Obviously, these are the first matches on the first 2, and the second matches they followed by the 2 matches. So they're in order of play for Sunday morning Eastern time. As I said at the top of the show, we're 3.21 units up as we come to the last few weeks of the 2025 tennis season. Loads of action on the channel if you want to keep following it. So myself and Rory both of us got a 2U pick through to the final tomorrow. Anisimova in the final of the WTA show. So we're going to end the year in some decent form, hopefully, and she'll be an overwhelming favourite if she plays. And we're back tomorrow on Betting Weekly WTA with myself and Rory trying to keep on our good run there. We've been so unlucky in the last few weeks. It's good to get someone into the final. As well as that, we have all the Premier League shows as well and the European shows. If you haven't catched them yet, there's still action on Sunday in the Premier League and lots of action Saturday and Sunday across the Premier League and in European football as well. And next week, an international break, but don't worry, Betting Weekly Live and Betting Weekly Tennis Live will be here 11 o'clock Eastern time, Monday through to Friday, and the tennis will be live Monday through to Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Sean, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Don't get too stressed out. I'm going to go back to bed, take some Lemsips, trying to sort out my head. I feel absolutely awful, but I'm back here tomorrow with Rory looking at the WTA. Good luck with our bets and good luck for the week. Myself and Sean will be back next week, and hopefully we'll have a couple of our tournament picks through to the latter stages over in Shanghai. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.